Thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video.
I really need to fix this chair, get a new one. It's been like this for over a year now. Hello and welcome to a new chit chat with a couple of plants mixed in with a Q&A. My name is Caro. I am a painter. I paint all things nature and all things nature under the microscope. And today we will be doing a remix in between chit chat with a couple of plants. I want to every now and then bring back the chit chats to my channel. And I also will be answering some of the questions that you'll asked a few months ago. So first, we are going to be doing a simple elixir drink together. You can copy this recipe, do it if you want, and then I'll be answering some of your questions. So let's go ahead and make these elixir together.
Today we will be making a beauty tonic with ghee, butterfly pea flower, mangosteen, hibiscus, rose, and coconut milk. First, we will pour some of our coconut milk or coconut heavy cream into our pot and heat it up. Once it's hot, we will add some hot water. Then add half a teaspoon of rose powder, 1 teaspoon of mangosteen hibiscus powder, a quarter of a teaspoon of butterfly pea powder, and 1.5 teaspoons of ghee. With a frother, we will froth away, or you can also mix it in a blender. And now our beauty tonic is ready. This drink is full of healthy fats, antioxidants, and vitamin C. It is also great for healthy, beautiful hair and skin, and also acts as an anti-inflammatory while also calming down the nervous system. Cheers!
So now that we have our drinks, feel free to find a comfy place to sit. The images are just going to be me talking to the camera, so feel free to just listen to these while you make your own creative projects, while you do whatever it is that you're doing today. Or you can also look, but there won't be anything rather than these on the image. Why don't we go ahead and get started? So let's jump right into it. Hi Caro, what books do you recommend for inspiration that are related to the journey of being an artist? Can include how to overcome creative blockage, how to organize your day, etc. I haven't really read a lot of books that specifically are, a book called "This book will help you with creative blockage" or "How to overcome creative blockage, how to organize your day as an artist." I believe the only book that I've read of those sorts would be The Artist Way by Julia Cameron, which is an amazing book for all things creativity, connecting to our creative power, overcoming creative blockage. And something which is very beautiful about Julia's Cameron book is that it also has a lot of journal prompts and a lot of exercises for you to do. For example, Julia invites us, the readers, to set up a date and a time, and the one we have an artist date with ourselves. There's also a journal from this book you can buy and make the workbook alongside reading the book. Or the way that I did it is I just used any of my journals and I wrote some stuff there, like my morning pages, in a random journal, and then I just completed the exercises like the artist date along my days, and I found it to be super beautiful. It's such an inspiring book. If you haven't read it and you're looking for these, I invite you to check it out. And even though I haven't read a lot of books that are called like that specifically for that, I feel that there are a lot of books that really inspire me or help me overcome creative blockage, as well as inform me of other ways in the ones I could organize and structure my own days, my creative practice, my life, and all of that. And one of those types of books are artist biographies or autobiographies. I love reading or listening to artist autobiographies, and this doesn't necessarily need to only be painters or visual artists. This could be any sort of artist, as I share on my books that I read on 2022. Last year, I read 3 autobiographies, as far as I can remember. I read Pablo Neruda's, I read Marina Abramovich's, who is a performance artist, and I read Flea's autobiography, the bass player from Red Hot Chili Peppers, the band. So even though they all have different mediums of creativity, it is so beautiful to get an insight to another person's way of, how they life went. Even though it might not be creative blockage, it's life blockage, whenever life doesn't go our way, or we have a lot of other things to worry about, or we're in survival mode and whatnot. So I love reading artist autobiographies, as I feel not only I get inspired from seeing everything they had to overcome and how they always stayed resilient throughout their art, but I also love hearing how each and every artist connects in a different way to what we call creativity, the creative muse, spirit, or however we put it in words, this force that is bigger than us, that is inviting us to create without words, sometimes with words. And I get so inspired from just reading and even talking with friends. It doesn't necessarily need to be books. I get super inspired from other creators on YouTube. I get super inspired from creators on Patreon, on Instagram, talking to my artist friends and see what they're up to. I love to just pretty much subscribe to the content that people that have a passion for something create. It doesn't necessarily need to be art making. I feel these inspires my own creativity, and their own routines and their own inspiration is such a beautiful insight in helping me how to structure myself and whatnot. And for everything that is like structure-wise, how I organize my day as an artist, as a human being, I feel that I didn't need any books for that. That was just my mama all the way, showing me since very young how to be structured. If it wouldn't be thanks to her, I feel I would just be flying on the sky and in my thoughts and in the ether all day long, because that's my natural way of being. And she, I feel from a very young age, noticed that and really helped me ground and structure and, be more organized, to the point that I actually forgot I was such a flowy and ethereal being. So it's been actually an unlearning of being so structured throughout maybe the last 12 years for me. I hope that helps, even though I don't have a lot of books on that topic. Before I keep answering your questions, I wanted to say thank you to Squarespace for being today's video sponsor and this channel sponsor. I've been using Squarespace since 2018. They are the host of my web shop, my online portfolio, my email campaigns, and all things online, Caro Arevalo. Thanks to Squarespace, right now, one of my newsletters is being scheduled and sent to all of my subscribers while I have the capability of being here chatting with you today. I love to showcase my artwork with Squarespace, as I use their award-winning designs for portfolios. And something that I really love about their portfolio is their automatic image scaling, which helps my artwork look amazing on any device, computers, mobile, etc. If you're looking to open your own art portfolio, your own online shop to share your creative projects, or anything of the sort, feel free to go to the first link on this video's description. Squarespace is giving you a free 2-week trial, and once you're ready to launch, you can use the code Caro Arevalo to get a sweet discount of your first purchase of a website or domain. Now let's go back to your questions. What would you recommend for artists trying to grow their practice, to stick to a style or technique, or keep learning and expanding different styles? And what's your tips for having structure in your day and avoiding burnout? So this is a tricky one, because I don't feel this is an answer of either or. I feel it's an answer of both. Honestly, the way that I approach art making is a weave of very different things. One of them is, and I've shared this before, I didn't really get to know my art style or technique from art school, even though I'm sure art school did help a lot in awakening curiosity within myself to try different art mediums. But the type of artwork that I do, the mandalic looking artwork, the one that is full of dots and eyes, it really came from sitting down in ceremonies. And for me, this was and still is a co-creation with the universe, with Great Spirit, with God, with however you want to call it, the creative muse. I feel that there is a very strong force bigger than Caro or bigger than each one of us. I feel there is something that flows through all of us and something bigger than all of us. And for me, when I started sitting down in ceremony and connecting more with that part of me, which a lot of us call spirit, I feel that's when the creative technique or style that I use just started flowing nonstop through me. And I feel that for me, that really spoke very loudly, because it became like, this is something that is bigger than you, Caro. This is not coming from the mind. This is coming from, I don't even know where, but it's from a place that's bigger than you. So for me, I felt very honored to feel that way. I had never felt that way before. Maybe sometimes when writing, just like free flow without thinking writing, but this was my first time doing that with art making, with painting, with drawing. And I could just sit there for hours, because as I felt this was not something coming from me, but from a co-creation with nature and the universe itself. I felt there's so much for me to learn here, because this is not just coming from my thoughts, it's coming from the heart and it's coming from spirit. And I don't mean this as in, ooh, I'm super special, I was touched by the universe. I feel all of us connect to this creativity and this co-creation in one time of our lives or another, or maybe all the time. And in that matter, I was actually last year feeling that connection was starting to be lost. I felt my connection with spirit and the co-creation with the creative muse was kind of getting lost for me, because I was too much in the logistics and too much in, oh my God, this has been like not such a good year for my artwork. So trying to really focus on keeping my business afloat. And that's the reason why the last month and the first few months of the year, I took off to rest, to heal, but also to really reconnect with this energy and to get curious and to paint for the sakes of painting. And I feel that aspect is so important for us to keep expanding, if it's in one art technique or if it's in feeding our imagination or our inner world. So I feel that if we start nurturing a little bit more that space, that vessel that we are, I feel that at some point we may find a technique or a style that really awakens our curiosity. And if you're feeling that, I would say, please focus on that and nurture that and give it time and give it space. And, we can make a little time within our schedule. If art is your all-day practice, or if it's what you do in your free time or whatever it is, if you can commit a little bit more into nurturing that connection and that art style, please go for it, because there's something that the world needs for you to create, for you to be super happy and get to know yourself and life more, but also for others to get inspired from your creativity. But at the same time, I also feel that staying open and staying curious is such a beautiful practice. Even though I share all of these about, my connection with ceremony and how these artworks started flowing and, like coming out of my hands, even though all of that was latent, I always stayed curious and I didn't close up my box like, this is the only thing I'll do. On the other hand, though, I did stay very curious, and I don't do sketches for my paintings. So I would just follow the thread of curiosity and intuition. And I feel that within letting myself be more fluid and not within a box is that I stopped doing only black and white and I started using colors, and slowly my work became less abstract and I started including plants and mushrooms and other living beings. And in the past 5 years or more, it's been super inspired by the microscopic world. I don't even know where that is going or where it's taking me, or if it's worthy of my time, but it's just such a big curiosity that I have, that I need to be of service and be present to see what will come out of it. Maybe it will be just a road that I take for a little while and I come back, or maybe I'll just go into the microscopic world forever. I truly don't know, but I always feel there's so much magic in following those small threads of curiosity. And I know this might be an ambitious answer, because I'm not saying stick to a style or just keep trying all the different things. I think it's the dance and the balance in between both of them. But I think that at the end of the day, it all comes down to what is our intuition telling us. And this is more of like the magical side of creating art, but I do feel that it's super valuable and worthy for all of us to get better at our technique and get better at our crafts. I actually am right now, and I love to always keep creating and trusting what I'm doing, but at the same time, I love to always be a student. So you have no idea how many like basic watercolor classes I take, or basic watercolor learning or botanical art making books that I get. And I'm not taking, like 35 classes, but I at least take 1 or twice a year, because it really helps me understand more what am I doing. And I feel that when we keep learning, our curiosity becomes awakened as well. So it's just so magical to keep learning, to get curious, and to also get better at the craft that we love. Yes. Hey, yeah, my question is not maybe that much art related, or maybe it is. But how would you deal with intense, overwhelming, not good emotions, which feel like as wild as the ocean? And maybe how do you manage to keep doing the grounding practices? How do you keep motivating yourself to be gentle? Take care of yourself when life makes it almost impossible to not. Thank you for asking these. I feel this is such an important question, and it's been very important for me in the last few years. I do a daily out loud giving gratitude to the elements, to nature, to my ancestors, etc. It's very long. But every day I give thanks to the water. And I mention these because you were mentioning as well as the water. And when I give thanks to the water, I always give thanks to the water because it shows us that life works in cycles. It has phases, and there's moments when the waters are pretty tamed, are almost not moving. Everything looks like a mirror. Everything is so still and calm and perfect. And there's moments when the waters get pretty rough and they just don't stop, and each wave is bigger than the other one, and it feels like we cannot come out and breathe. But I feel that another very important teaching from the waters is that it's always showing me that I have the capability to flow. I have the capability to float, to stay afloat, no matter how big or how small the waves are. And I feel this is key into understanding how I stay focused on my daily grounding practices, because I know these are the practices that remind me of that. The daily practices that I keep to ground myself, to feel good, to connect to my body, to connect to my emotions, to come back to my breath, to come back to gratitude, to come back to hope, which sometimes seems like there's no space to find it. And I feel that the more that I connect to my daily practices, the more capable I feel of confronting the bigger waves and the wild tides. And I feel it's that. And, there's days, to give one example, one of my practices is yoga. I've been doing yoga every day for 2 years. This is my 3rd year doing yoga every day. And the way that I stay connected to these practices is I show up, I enroll my mat, and I check in with myself. Am I capable of doing a 1-hour power yoga class today? Am I capable of wearing my ankle weights and have a very flowy, strong vinyasa? Or am I feeling a little low? Am I on my moon cycle? Am I feeling a little blue? Maybe I'm tired. I've been working a lot all week. How about doing a 20-minute stretch yin yoga practice today? How about doing yoga on my PJs today? How about just lighting a candle and taking it super slow with a yin practice? So I feel that just like the waves, we change and we have cycles, and life gives us different types of things to live through, some super harsh and some super beautiful and flowy and exciting. And I feel that just like we and the waves change, I feel that our grounding practices and the ways we show up to them could change, in my opinion, should change with us. And I feel that's the main way in the one I always stay connected to my practices. On the rational side, remembering this is really nurturing, especially for when life feels overwhelming and impossible. This is what will help me navigate all of that. And on the other hand, by remembering this is also a self-practice love, in the one I get to check in with myself and say, this is as much as I can contribute here today. And that's everything that I will do with yoga. 15 minutes today, yin yoga on my PJs. And I always try to remember I've never done a yoga practice and then I've said, oh my God, I wish I would have not done that. I felt so much better before yoga. I've never, ever, ever said that. So I always try to keep that in mind to motivate myself, to remember I always feel way better after flowing in my mat or coming back to my breath or giving thanks, giving gratitude, making a list of 5 things I'm grateful for today. I hope this is helpful. And I think something that's also important is to remember that we're all in these and we all have those different phases and those cycles and those very harsh waves in our lives. So knowing that we're not alone in these, it's also very helpful for me sometimes. So I hope it can be helpful for you too. Hi, Caro. I wanted to know if you experience a lot of hate comments and people just being nasty. Starting a YouTube channel is something I wonder about, but I'm not sure how I would handle negative comments and also people wanting to know more personal things when all I want to share is your art. Do you encounter negative comments and personal questions a lot? And if so, how do you feel about and handle it? I love your content and your art is just amazing. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world. Thank you so much for this question. First off, if you would let me give a consejo, I feel that not only YouTube, but in the world, within our family members, within the people that we know, the people we went to school with, the people we've worked with, there will always be someone who doesn't approve of what we're doing and who thinks it's silly and it's wasting our time, etc., etc., etc. And I think that people's opinions about our creative endeavors should never be the reason not to create. I feel that should never be a reason worthy enough for us not to connect to creativity. Like, we are floating on a rock in space. We don't even know why. We are alive. We have consciousness and we have hearts and we have feelings and we have creativity and we don't even understand where creativity comes from. But it's such a beautiful, wild thing to be in this world and to be able to create, and someone's opinion should never be the reason not to connect to that beautiful practice within our life. I feel that, someone who is very angry at life's opinion should never be the reason not to create or not to share your art or not to do the YouTube channel that you want. On the other hand, I also feel that a YouTube channel or an Instagram account or a whatever social media account we want to create is totally up to us. How much we share, when we share, what we share, and if we read comments or not. So I feel that if you want to make a channel only about your art, that's totally up to you. And that should be your little sanctuary corner in the internet. You share what makes you feel good. You share what you feel like sharing with other people and what you set the boundary. I'm not going to share anything personal, and that's the way it's going to be. And the people that resonate with that will find you along the way. And the people that don't, then they'll leave. Or maybe they will understand, oh, this is their boundary. I'll respect that. I, on the other hand, am someone who shares on this channel. I share my artwork, but this is also a Caro channel. I share about my life. I share about, my family. I share about my struggles. I share about my health. I share about just like a humanness and art channel at the same time. And it's not because I'm being obligated, but it's because what makes my heart sing. It's the way that I would love to make this corner of the internet. So that's the boundary that I said. I want this to be not an art channel. I want this to be a Caro channel. And there's topics that I don't share in my channel because they are personal to me. And that's where I set the boundary, and I don't share about those topics. And there's topics where I feel I am still learning and I am still, healing, or I'm still going through my own human process and I'm not ready to share them. So I don't share them. And I feel it's so important for us to remember that we are the ones that use these platforms as we want to. I always say, I don't think we should ever be afraid of an algorithm. Like, if you want to make one video a year, that's amazing. If you want to make one video a day, that's amazing. It's up to us. And something along those lines recently happened to me. I deleted the Instagram app from my phone all January, and then I download it again as I wanted to post that I was reopening my shop at the end of January. And when I was downloading the app, I started feeling so overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be like wasting time going on social media again. I deleted the app because I wasn't respecting my own boundaries with that app and with social media in general. I was just literally wasting time there, more time than I wanted to when I wanted to really focus, but I was becoming addicted. So I deleted it. I said, I need to put this boundary until I can, be in rehab of social media. And when I downloaded it to share about my shop update, I felt so overwhelmed, like, oh my God, here we go again. I'm going to waste so much time on this app. And then I said, no, why would I even, I'm not, it doesn't mean that if I have the app, I need to open it. It doesn't mean that because I'm downloading it for something specific, I don't have the right to then unload it again or uninstall it. So I posted about my shop update and I deleted it for a couple other weeks, and it felt so good until now I can have the app and I'm not in that addictive mode anymore. So I feel remembering that we are the ones with the power is so important with these addictive social media apps. It's funny that I say this on YouTube. Anyhow, that's on one side. And on the other side, I feel that thankfully, this community is so beautiful, and I rarely get like very hate or negative comments. And when I do, I feel it's either, not a constructive criticism, but it's actually people just wanting to come and hate. I feel that that's another place for me to learn how to not take things seriously and to let it come through one ear and let it leave through the other. I always say that I feel that people that are just commenting like, I hate your artwork, you're the worst artist, they just don't like my artwork, and they decide to use their time hating on the internet on people that are putting their hearts out in the world. Maybe they've never created anything. That's the way that I approach it. But I also need to say that on the first Q&A that I did of the series last year, someone commented like, I used to love your videos, but now they are super overwhelming and I feel like so hectic after watching you. And that really stuck with me, and it was very hard for me to film videos afterwards. The book tour that I did from the books that I read in 2022, while I was recording that comment was the only thing on my mind. Like, they were saying that my videos were too long and hectic and overwhelming and horrible, and I knew that video would be very long because I was sharing about 26 books, at least talking 2 minutes about each of them. So it was going to be a very long video. And after filming that, I felt so horrible for just thinking about that one negative comment. And, it's not to blame the person who left this comment. It's for me to grow a tougher skin and to learn how to focus on the gazillion other positive comments that I got on that Q&A instead of focusing on that one comment that hurt me. It wasn't negative. I think it was trying to be constructive criticism, but I'm learning, and I feel that negative comments are teaching me. And on the other hand, there's people that just don't read comments. I do read them because 99% of the time they're beautiful and they inspire me a lot. And it's beautiful to learn more from you and who's on the other side and how are you liking the videos, and what resonates. So that's a tricky one for me because it would be easier not to read comments at all. A lot of people say post and ghost, like post and then ghost it and never read the comments. But I still read them because they really make my heart sing most of the time. And with the negative ones, I'm learning. I feel that other people's criticism should never be the reason not to explore something that you want. I want to see your YouTube videos. Please open your channel if that's what resonates right now. All right, so I've answered 4 questions. Today I'm only going to be answering 5. The next one is, when is your exact time and place of birth? I'm not answering to that because that's my boundary. That's like asking me for a nude. Sorry. Not sorry. Hi, Caro. I was wondering how your spiritual journey and connection to Creator helps inspire your art. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful work and inspiring us all to live authentically and from the heart. Thank you so much for this question and for this beautiful message. I feel like kind of answered that one a few questions ago, but I truly feel that our connection to the Creator or the universe or the flow or the energy or God let's use whatever words feels more exciting for us. I feel it inspires my artwork infinitely and forever. And as I was mentioning earlier, I felt 2022 was the year that I felt that union and that connection with spirit was starting to separate. And I could tell because I felt scared to start a new painting, as if it's not going to be good, it's going to be ugly. And I would never feel that way before. Before it would be like, I'm so excited to start a new painting because this union, this co-creation with spirit will show me something new. For me, painting has always been a space of releasing, of letting go, of crying, and of connecting more to love. I feel that painting for me is the meditative space where I let go more of the fear, the actions and the feelings that I've been taking from a place of fear. I feel painting helps me purge all of those, and it helps me cultivate more thinking, more being, and more acting from a place of love. And that's why I used to get so excited for painting before 2022. And I really was too much on the logistics side of trying to make this boat stay afloat. And it was a difficult time, but before I burned out, I really realized this. And I said no to brand partnerships and to wanting to, share more videos, and put stuff in the outer world. I felt my connection to spirit needed to be cultivated again. My connection to silence, my connection to love, my connection to getting curious needed to be more and more nourished. And I feel that it's so valuable and so beautiful when we get to be so open with ourselves and say, hey, this isn't working, or hey, this isn't as exciting as it used to be. Should we reroute? Should I stop doing art? Should I try and see why is this not exciting? And I don't sketch. I usually just start painting. And I feel I have this beautiful combination that really helps me. Right now I'm working in a bunch of different, and I have been working on paintings about different living beings, like the evolution of plants, or the fungi painting, or the eukaryotic painting. So these paintings are very informed on the physical world. But something that I love about painting living beings is that I feel we all carry that connection to spirit. We all carry that spirit. And I feel that for me, it's that connection in between painting these living beings, how they look physically to the microscope or to our naked eye, and also a flow of the circles and the orbits and the dots and the eyes of how I feel these beings are alive. So how can we make the painting feel alive? How can I make it feel like it's moving and it's speaking and it's conscious, and they all have, I see you. I want the painting to tell the observer, I see you, I'm here, I'm also alive as you. So for me, it's that combination in between adding how it looks in reality and adding the magical sparkle. So my connection to spirit really is super in union and in symbiosis and in co-creation with the paintings that I create. And I feel that when I am, stepping out from that zone, I'm like, no, let's pause and let's come back, because this is a sacred practice. And I feel that a lot of those like creative blockage and imposter syndrome and my art is not good enough feelings really go away when I remember I'm co-creating with this with the spirit and the universe. This is not just me in my mind. This is happening, just like life is happening. What do I mean by that? That we are all making it happen. So if I show up, it might happen. And if I nurture more my connection with spirit, something more beautiful may happen. So I feel that curiosity and that nourishing of our connections are so magical. And, I don't know if I will always be painting. I now love to play some instruments, and it's something very new for me. And I'm not turning into a musician, but I love I feel that is another co-creation with spirit, or cooking, or decorating a corner in my home, or leaving offerings. Like there's so many co-creations, and I'm going off topic, but I just feel that there's just so much beauty within being alive. And sometimes we may forget because the world gets overwhelming and because there's so many negative things happening at the same time, but they are happening at the same time. So I feel that in moments of darkness and in moments of despair, it's always so valuable and so beautiful to remember those practices like creativity, like self-care, like community, like nourishment, which remind us how to light that little fire we all carry within. I always say sometimes that fire feels like a little ember, but if we start like giving it more air and, you know, cultivating it slowly, then it will become a huge flame once again. And once our inner flame is big and healthy and nourished, then that light can be contagious and can start inspiring other people. And I feel that's one of the main reasons why I feel creativity is so transformative for all of us. That's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this chit chat Q&A. Let me know if you are digging the chit chats, if you would like more chit chats. Maybe I'll do chit chat and Q&A together for a little while, and maybe we can bring chit chats back later in time. Thank you once again, Squarespace, for sponsoring today's video. You can use the code Caro Arevalo to get a discount from your purchase of a first website or domain with them. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you like what you see here, to check my other social media like Instagram or TikTok or Minds. And I also have a Patreon where I post chit chats every month, and there's like more than 30 chit chats from the past you can tune into. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and I will see you soon.